What's up, babies? Been a minute, and I probably sound super gross. Hope everyone's doing okay. I'm better. I got hit in the face with a cold, and it's one of those situations where you never think that a cold is gonna be quite as flatlining as it is sometimes, but sometimes you get hit with those, and boy, they just hit you like a truck. And like I got myself tested and everything, so like thankfully it wasn't COVID or anything, but boy, if I haven't slept more this past week than I have in any other week for the past like 5 years, just oh my gosh, constant sleep. Would be like I would get up with my alarm thinking like, okay, we'll try and see if we can get back on routine today. Get up with my alarm, go feed my cat, sit on the couch, and then wake up 3 hours later. Like, it was just an absolute beast of a cold. And it still got me feeling like, it's still got that whole nose running like a faucet situation. God, could I say that word in a more Midwestern way? Faucet? It's almost like a New Yorker at that point, my God. But, yeah, it's been brutal, and I'm probably going to sound quite disgusting today, all day. But like I'm definitely over the worst of it. Fever broke a while ago. Whatever fever there was, it was mild. It was just one of those energy sapping ones. It was one of those colds that just took all of my spare energy for the sake of going through the healing process. So, not much energy to spare, and I think the voice is going to be okay today. I was glad I didn't stream Monday or Tuesday for the sake of my voice too. I did decide to be a trooper and play D&D with my crew Monday nights like we usually do. And boy, if my throat wasn't shredded after just an hour and a half of doing that, I would never have made it through 4 hours of streaming on Monday and Tuesday. Like, even if I wanted to just sit here and play games or whatever, my voice would not have held up for that. Like, I genuinely spent Monday and Tuesday sitting still on the couch, watching TV or playing games silently. Like, that's what I did. That's what I did. And it just, yeah, it sounds so, whiny babyitis to say that about a cold, but I have not been hit with a cold quite that intense in a long time. So, but I'm feeling a lot better, a heck of a lot better. I'm dosed up to the gills on cold medicine right now, so we're flying high at the moment. It's gonna be a good day. No, actually, I'm not as bad. I'm not as medicated as I have been on average over the past few days. I am, now that I'm over the worst. Now that I'm over the worst of the cold, it now begins the process of trying to wean myself off of the cold medicine assistance. So, sorry, there's a very good chance I will spend a lot of today also being distracted and looking over this way, because there's not going to be a good way for me to move my camera because of the way it's attached to my monitor. But I treated my cat to make myself feel better. I put on a mask so that I didn't give my cold to everyone else in the world. I went out to the pet store. I got my cat a new cat tree. You can see a picture of it on Instagram or Twitter. I was so excited about it, and she's so excited about it. And she is just, she has definitely been undertaking quite seriously the project of putting her scents, all over this new cat tree, and her claw marks all over this cat tree, and she is quite in love with it. It's taller than her old one, so it gets her an even better view of all the birds outside and everything. It's a great situation for her, and she is absolutely in love with it, and I love watching her be absolutely in love with it. It cracks me up. But yeah, if I'm frequently distracted, that's why. Oh, she's in the back. Wait, if I scooch to the side, there she is, in the chair. That's her spot. That's her spot when she wants to be present, but not the center of attention. My cat is like me in that she likes to be around the activity, but not part of it. So she'll go sit in that chair over there that's in the corner and isolated, so no one can sit next to her and pet her or anything. So, all right, enough of me obsessing about my cold and my cat, though they're both very central to how this week has gone. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be drinking so many fluids too. It just sounds gross to say it that way. I'm going to be drinking so many liquids. No, that's still just as weird. That's still just as weird. I don't know. I'm going to be drinking a lot. Now, that sounds like I've got a problem. I don't know. Whatever. Let's do some writing. Let's do some writing. Here we are. So, I don't remember what the hell we were working on. It's been almost a full week since the last time we streamed and worked on this project. Because I make sure to not work on this project when I'm not streaming. I've got other projects that I work on when I'm not streaming. And I don't, you know, like when I set out with this project of writing this campaign, the idea was to like record the whole process. Like, that's really why I started doing this. It's really a selfish endeavor. Like, I wanted to record myself and like my whole process because I thought it would be interesting. One, for other people to see what my process is, because I have a lot of people who will ask me, you know, how I go about the writing process, because they like, you know, generally speaking, my campaigns are met with enjoyment, and positive reviews. Generally speaking, not everyone likes everything everyone makes. That's fine. But generally, people like the stuff that I make. But the other reason that I wanted to do it is actually a really selfish endeavor. Is I wanted to have sort of a recording of how my methods change over the course of writing a whole campaign, both in terms of like the specifics of this campaign, how the campaign changes and morphs and grows over the process of writing it, as well as just my approach to things. I mean, I've definitely sort of adjusted how I like to structure dungeons and the like over the course of writing this, and so there's a lot of interest, a lot of personal interest in this for me, and so that's like really why I've done this, and why I don't want to work on it too much when I'm not like recording, because I really want to see what that whole process is, assuming, you know, like with this weird assumption that I'm ever going to sit here and watch all, you know, however many hundred, it's got to be like 200-300 hours already, and we're like halfway through the campaign, as if I'm ever going to watch all of those hours. But, you know, if I ever wanted to go back and just see a snapshot of what I was doing for this part at this time in my life or anything like that, then hey, you know, it's there, and we can check it out. And so that's like, it's one of the big reasons that I wanted to do this. It's really selfish. You know, I streamed it so that way other people can laugh at me and my selfish pursuits and everything like that. But yeah, so I don't know how I got on that tangent. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Oh yeah, I was just saying that it's been a while since we worked on this, and I have not really worked on it in the meantime since I have been off stream because of being ill and everything. So I don't really remember what I was doing, other than I know we still have to finish getting just like our basic, like our baseline fundamental stuff done for this part of the campaign for this dungeon before we progress any further. So it looks like we got 5 of our 6 sections of this particular sort of chapter done in terms of coming up with our enemies. So let's go ahead and just start off by finishing the last set here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just go for it, right? This is section 6. And sometimes I like to come up with fun names. I haven't been coming up with like interesting titles for all the different sections yet. I like to do that just for my own benefit because it's fun. But oh my god, yeah, my equilibrium is all kinds of thrown off here. This is gonna be a weird stream. I can guarantee it. Things are gonna be weird. Did anyone else ever get that? Where you're just like, when you're sick, like even if you're not particularly loopy on cold medicine or sleep deprived or anything, even when you're well rested and feel well, in comparison to like your normal equilibrium, just like when you're sick, you just feel loopy and weird. Like I always get that way. Maybe it's all placebo. Maybe it's just that I wish I were more interesting, so I make that an effect of my personality. Probably that one. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I'm sick. All right. So yeah, let's come up with some enemies here. I have done 0 preparation here. I don't have any of the tabs open that I usually do. Let's get D&D Beyond open here. I got a bunch of new books of D&D Beyond. So we're gonna have even more monsters that we can possibly work with. So that's cool. There'll be fewer instances of me going like, oh, that looks neat. Oh, I don't own that. Okay, well, never mind. Because now I have it all. Now I have, excuse me, now I have it all. Yeah, my God, this is gonna just be the grossest. People are gonna come on here. I feel like anyone who sticks around is just gonna be watching out of that like strange form of fascination of like just you know, it's like watching a car crash or watching someone make a fool of themselves on reality TV, where it's just like it's horrible and you don't want to witness it, but you just can't get yourself to look away. And that's you know, it's that I'm subjecting myself to that potential humiliation for all of your sakes. So, you know, you're welcome, I guess. What difficulty do we? Okay, so the boss of this one. So the bosses are always one of the boss monsters alone would make a medium difficulty battle. So that way, when we're doing like our boss battle, we have a whole lot of extra experience points to throw around, giving them some cronies and stuff, right? That's the basic principle. So we need somewhere around 1,800 experience points worth of boss here. Sometimes I'll even mix it up and do like, you know, 700 XP. What is that challenge rating? 2 or something? I don't know. Sometimes I'll do that, but I try to avoid that just because, again, as I'm always talking about, that action economy really kind of toys with things. Well, let's get this up to 5, because my brain's not functioning super quickly, and I don't know off the top of my head exactly what challenge rating that amount of experience points is going to translate to. So let's just see here. Oh, hey, look at that. Perfect. My instincts can cover. That's what happens when you have a higher wisdom score than intelligence score. So if you ever need an assistance example to understand what the difference between those two is, there you go. There you go. What? Okay, we got to come up with a moonshark. It wouldn't work, because they're underwater, but Triceratops, we could just go full on dinosaurs. I don't know. I feel like I don't need to go into it, but I've explained ad nauseum on stream why I avoid dinosaurs. Just simply because they just feel like such a specific atmosphere, like such a specific, yeah, like it's such a specific theme that you really need to, for me to be like comfortable and enjoy it, like it really needs to be an all or nothing thing. Like you really got to commit to it if you're gonna go for that. So I'm not gonna go for it. Okay, so we've already kind of used some of these things. We already did the large subterranean, or maybe we did the giant subterranean. Which one did we do? Why is the large more difficult than the giant subterranean? You know what? We're just gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I'm not gonna overthink about it. My brain is already too confused. We totally already used. We used the giant one. We used the giant subterranean. So we could go large, but that seems a little boring. Just do the same thing. I kind of like the idea. So my first thought is, even though it kind of sidesteps the atmosphere that we're going for, with this being like grasslands and plains and everything, it does kind of dodge that a little bit. But I kind of like the idea of doing like a giant crocodile and then doing, you know, like amphibious creatures of sorts, and just have like the last part of the city be a part of the city that's like been swamped by like weather patterns and stuff like that, you know, or like maybe there's a tear to the water plane or something there. And so that's what, you know, and so because of that, the big bad crocodiles showed up and like it there. We can do that. That's easy. Let's do it. That seems simple enough. We need to, where am I doing? I'm taking a screenshot. Copy that. Bring it over here. This is one of my worst streams I've done. I should have just taken another day off. This was a mistake. So many mistakes were made today. It also doesn't help that my mindset is like I'm entering. I won't unload all of my baggage, but I'm entering a stream, like, already mentally exhausted, having to deal with stuff at work. Like, there's a situation at work where I have to keep being the bad guy, and people keep trying to take advantage of my good graces, and they pull the whole thing where it's like, I give them leeway, and then when I don't give them more leeway, they act like I'm being particularly strict, even though I've already given them so much leeway. And so they're just like trying to kind of guilt trip the whole me being a bad guy situation, and it's just I'm emotionally done with it. I'm emotionally over it. Which just adds to the difficulty, because professionally I can't be over it yet. I have to keep dealing with the situation, even though my attitude is one of, I don't care, just do something, is sort of where I'm at. So like, I'm entering the stream both frustrated and ill and loopy, and I'm just kind of in a state where I'm like, is it the weekend yet? Like, I just need to reset and try again next Monday. It's, oh boy. That's why I wanted to stream today, though. I always like streaming. This is fun. Like, I'm genuinely feeling my mood lift up. That's good. And then maybe afterwards I'll go outside for a little bit, because it's like, it's beautiful outside today around here. This is the second day in a row that it's above 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which around my neck of the woods is, that's a big deal. That's a big deal when it gets that warm. It feels nice. It feels super nice. I'm into it. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. So that's it's my situation. I don't know, man. Okay, giant crocodile. What is this thing gonna do? Multi-attack. Hold breath. Can hold its breath for 30 minutes. Okay, so I want to just put a little note here. I immediately like this idea. Let's just put a note. Half submerged / swamped part of town gives amphibious, is that it? Yeah, amphibious creatures the opportunity to be underwater at least sometimes. So I really like that idea, because I'm looking at this, and hold breath, can hold its breath for 30 minutes. I like the idea of will submerge itself to move and use that as an opportunity to pick new targets without being spotted. So now here's something that immediately I'm thinking about this right now, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and just set the ground rules right now for this. There's not any sort of actual skill that the crocodile has that allows it to get any sort of extra stealth or anything for doing this, but it does have a stealth skill of +5. Excuse me. And with that hold breath, being able to go underwater, right? That's what the hold breath is for, right? So it can go underwater and it can move around there. What I think I want to do is, when moving underwater, any creature in melee range can still have attack of opportunity when it tries to submerge. So I want to lay that ground rule there. I think that's still fair. When it tries to go underwater, like when it's going underwater, that's it starting its movement, right? And it can try and go underwater. And so if it's doing that, anyone can try and get a whack at its head before it really disappears. But then, so it can have an opportunity when it tries to submerge. And then, actually, hold on. I'm just going to get rid of this when moving underwater, because it doesn't really make sense for what the rest of that sentence says. Any creature in melee range can still have attack of opportunity when it tries to submerge. When moving underwater, any player wanting to see where it is must make investigation checks against the crocodile's stealth check. I think that's a fair way to balance it. because it's not like it's going super underwater, so I don't think it automatically gets to just kind of have free motion without anyone noticing. But they do have to actually look for it, because the motion of the water, reflections on the water, are going to make it more difficult than if the thing was staying above water. So I think that's a fair balance, and that's like a fair compromise for the situation. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna put it like that for now. If anyone's ever had any experience handling that type of situation in combat and can offer, because I've not used, I've not done. If I have run a battle like that as a DM, it's been a long time. So I'm just kind of making this up off the top of my head. So I don't know how excellent that's going to be, but just when I'm thinking about balancing, I think that's a fair approach to it. Plus, this is going to be our final boss for this whole region. Like, this is the biggest, baddest monster that they're going to face. So I feel like it's okay to kind of give it some like pseudo lair actions this way. And we can almost treat it like that. Because it can kind of just do it at will, and so we kind of give it that advantage, and I think that's fine. So I think we'll do that, and then we'll try to multi-attack whatever creature is closest. Actually, I have a different idea. Let's try this. We'll always use multi-attack. Will bite. Let's say we'll bite the creature closest to its head. Will tail attack the creature closest to its butt. So it's like going to spread out its attacks, doing it that way, like using the tail to kind of give itself some space. Tail attack the creature closest to its butt, and then let me see here. Oh, it is grappled. And then I want to do if it successfully yeah, because it has its strength saves like there, so it's gonna try and knock people away from whatever it's trying to eat, is essentially what I'm trying to do with it. So if it successfully grapples an opponent, so if it successfully grapples its opponent, let me just check and make sure this is kosher, because my idea is, with it trying to do its underwater, I like the idea of it trying to drag, if it grapples something, trying to drag it underwater, and it will try to continue biting underwater, so that way there's like maybe a time limit, and we could try and make up some rules for this on how it works. But let me check the grapple rules, because if it is saying it's officially grappled, if grapple says something about stopping movement, I'll honor that. Because I don't want to go too OP with all of this. So, grapple, let me read. A grapple creature's speed becomes 0, and it can't benefit from any bonus to its speed. So, the grappled can't move. Condition ends if the grappler is incapacitated. Condition is also ended if an effect removes the grappled creature from the reach of the grappler or grappling effect, such as when the creature is hurled away by Thunderwave spell. Okay. There's nothing that actively says that it can't move. But I do think that would invoke like opposing strength checks if it tries to move while it's grappling it. I think that's only fair, because it's like because it's not just like, it's one thing to hold some, like if I think about bear hugging someone, right? If I'm going to try and bear hug someone, just get my arms around them and hold tight to stop them from moving. It's one thing to plant myself, lower my hips, widen my stance, plant myself, and bear hug them and hold them in place, versus trying to grab them and drag them and haul them off, right? By adding that movement, and this is something that I kind of think about a lot as someone who trains a martial art that includes grappling. And so when you think about motions, like the flip side of it is, when you're grappled, one of the best things you can do is try to create movement, so that way you can create space, even the smallest amount of space between you and the person holding you. So that way you can weasel arms up, you can weasel shoulders in, you can get yourself in a better position, right? So that movement gives you better ability to escape. The worst thing you can do is just like stand still if someone's grappling you and you don't want to be grappled. So if you're doing the grappling and trying to move, you're naturally opening the opportunity for that space that can be taken advantage of. So my immediate thought is that, so I want to say, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. If it successfully grapples an opponent, we'll try to drag opponent underwater. And so I gotta kind of come up with some rules of this, because I don't think there are rules as written that talk about grappling someone underwater and how that handles. So I think when it's doing that, drag the opponent underwater, while actively moving underwater, opposing strength checks to see if grapple is maintained. And I'm trying to make sure I cover every base with this, because what I'm thinking, I'm not thinking to give advantage to one or the other, because they're both trying to do something and moving underwater. The fact that basically the movement gives the restrained the extra, the restrained party the extra opportunity to escape already is like the advantage. So, plus this thing is like super strong, so it's going to take a lot of work anyway. And that's kind of the point of a crocodile, right? So now I'm trying to think about what then happens if something is dragged underwater. And my thought is, while underwater, there's either, I guess I'm thinking there's two ways to handle this, right? Because the idea, when I'm thinking about what a crocodile does, it drags its prey underwater to try and drown it. Right? That's what it does. And so when I'm trying to think about that mechanically, how that translates to battle and combat in D&D, my thought is, if a player gets dragged underwater, that's going to, in some way, shape, or form, increase, like, the whole point is that increases the likelihood that they die while grappled. Like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point that we're doing with it. And so my thought is, there's two ways to approach that. Either you start a separate counter for how many turns worth of breath they can hold before they're automatically unconscious just from lack of oxygen, or you invoke some sort of, like, we come up with some sort of homebrew extra damage that gets invoked to simulate trying to escape while holding your breath. And I don't know that I necessarily know which one is better or worse. And it's the type of thing where I almost feel like you would need to play test it to really know. Let me just try something. Let me just try looking up. I'm just going to look and see if someone else smarter than me has already figured it out. Drowning in D&D 5E. Let's just see if someone's kind of come up with anything like that. 5E drowning guide. Yeah, why not? Let's see what this is. Nerds and scoundrels. Let's see how helpful they are. I don't know what I'm doing. Go away, ads. Drowning guide. Drowning in 5E takes the same rules as standard suffocation. Creature may hold its breath for a number of minutes equal to 1 plus Constitution modifier. Minimum 30 seconds. After you run out of breath, you survive. That might even be in rules as written. Hold on a second. Let me just see if I'm being dumb here. Drowning? Yeah, let's see. Drowning tables. Okay, so nothing about drowning, but let's try suffocating. Okay, about suffocating. Suffocating rules. There we go. Haha, there we go. We solved our own problem. Creature can hold its breath for a number equal to 1 plus its Constitution modifier. Creature runs out of breath or is choking. It can survive for a number of rounds equal to its Constitution modifier. Minimum of 1 round. Part of its next turn, it drops to 0 hit points and is dying and can't regain hit points or be stabilized until it can breathe again. For example, creature with a Constitution 14 can hold its breath for 3 minutes, 1 plus Constitution modifier of 2. Starts suffocating. It has 2 rounds to reach air before it drops to 0 hit points. Okay, so if we have those in order, so we can kind of take that. So let's go ahead and do that. While underwater, the grappled creature is considered to be suffocating. The one thing that I want to do, though, The one thing that I think I'm going to do, and if anyone thinks this is too harsh, feel free to speak up, because I'm just kind of riffing at this point. I'm going to say, however, the amount of time the grappled party can hold breath is halved due to the added energy use of struggling against the creature. Anyone who's ever tried can know pretty intuitively and pretty immediately that when you're holding your breath, right? Like if anyone was a weird kid like me, and when you were at the lake with your cousins or your friends, or at the pool with your cousins or friends or whatever, right? We would always have breath holding competitions. I feel like that's a pretty standard part of childhood. At some point in time, you have a breath holding competition, whether it's underwater, whether it's just sitting there. Everyone does that, right? And so you're going to hold their breath the longest, right? Everyone knows the best strategy is to sit super still, super relaxed, and just sit there and wait. That's the best way to do it, because when you're not using energy, you're not using as much oxygen. That oxygen that's in your lungs can last longer than if you're moving and dancing, or in this situation, struggling against a crocodile that's trying to eat you. So I think it's fair to say that that is cut in half. So if someone would normally have 3 minutes, they've got like a minute and a half, and even that, frankly, is pretty generous, right? Think about someone holding you down underwater while you are struggling to get above water, exhaling on accident, accidentally inhaling water, trying to get out of that situation. A minute and a half is generous, right? So I think that's a fair modification. I think that's a fair modification to this. So if they're grappled underwater, yeah. So and the crocodile can't bite another target if they're, that's fair, because they would just then bite the same target. At that point, they're just chewing on them. So I think that's fair. So let me make sure I've got every base covered here. I think that pretty much covers what we want to do for the combat to really make this a good boss battle. Submerge itself and move, and use that as an opportunity to pick new targets without being spotted. Any creature in melee range can still have an attack of opportunity when it tries to submerge. When moving underwater, any player wanting, let's say when the crocodile, just make it clear, is moving underwater, any player wanting to see where it is must make investigation checks against the crocodile's stealth check. I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair. Because again, like we're talking about like a half submerged, sunken, swampy marsh-like area. We're not talking about, a deep pool where the thing can like go way underwater and not be seen, right? It's like you could still see ripples and see like the shifting of the creature as it's moving underwater, as long as you're paying really close attention. So I think that's fair. Like it'll make its stealth check, which it gives it a +5. It's still a very good chance that it'll get away with it. But it makes a stealth check, and anyone wanting to see it has to make an investigation, right? They're searching for it. I think that's fair. Not entirely different from if like I think a lot about like in the Pathfinder game that I'm playing, there's the dungeon that we're in has a lot of creatures that can turn invisible, right? And so you have to make your investigation checks to kind of understand where that thing moves while it's like incorporeal. So it's kind of what I'm modeling this after loosely, just the concept of it. So it does that. Always use multi-attack. Let's say we'll always use multi-attack when 2 enemies are nearby. As I want to specify that because it'll bite the creature closest to its head, will tail attack the creature closest to its butt. It'll just do that. If it successfully grapples an opponent, it will try to drag opponent underwater. While actively moving underwater, I want to make sure this is clear, because it's not just when it's moving. Like, it's not just like, oh, we're underwater moving. Like, it doesn't get free motion to drag. So, while dragging prey underwater, or while actively moving underwater, I think that's a bit more clear. Opposing strength checks to see if grapple is maintained, which is just like standard. I mean, we could just have them like, we could just even make this even easier and just say, while moving underwater, the grappled party may take an extra attempt to break free, right? Because we're adding a little bit of modification there. We could just do that and just utilize the DC there. I think that might make a bit more sense, and that actually might be a little bit easier depending on how hot the dice are on any given night. It's just a bit easier. I think I like that. It keeps things a bit more level. Keeps things a bit more, you know, they're not worried about the luck of 2 sets of dice, just the luck of 1 set of dice. If I can't bite another target, it'll just keep trying to do the same one. Underwater, grappled creatures considered to be suffocating. However, the amount of time the grappled party can hold breath is halved due to the added energy use of struggling against the creature. Yeah. I think that's fair. I think, at least on paper, I think that works. It's the type of thing where there's every possibility that in practice it won't work as well as I'm envisioning it, which is why I always say as a DM I reserve the right to make modifications to things in the name of making sure that a game is fun. Having fun is the first and foremost thing. I will never ever put following a rule above the whole table having fun. That doesn't mean necessarily that I'll never kill a party, like a player or anything like that. Like, if there's something that is, like, completely obviously has to happen based on just the way events pan out, then, like, you know, that happens. But it's like, if this turns out to be completely overpowered or underpowered and there's just no way for them to do it, I might modify that and turn that into, like, a, you know, just sort of, like, secretly in my notes, turn it into a lair action that it can do twice per day or something like that. Can kind of do that. You can always modify and change things up that way. But in general, I think that works. I think that adds a bit more depth and complexity, because the other thing that's fun about that is when we think about it, pulling it, if it successfully pulls an opponent underwater, right, and it starts drowning them even while they're struggling, if it's underwater, then suddenly we have this rule. Anyone wanting to see it, they have to do, you know, an investigation check, and then it'll go against the stealth as the thing's trying to pull it underwater, because it's trying to move it underwater, kill it. It's trying to do that without any interference. So I think that defaults, and I'm going to say that. I'm going to say, while struggling underwater, remember the underwater movement rules above for other creatures spotting the crocodile from above the water surface, right? So that adds a little bit of complexity to it too. So it's like, it kind of it kind of creates the opportunity for a very cinematic situation, right, where you have, you know, that type of situation where your players are standing there frozen, waiting to try and see if something happens, and they don't know exactly where it is. And it's like, maybe if the player, you know, you can just kind of, it's kind of more of a flavor role play situation, but it's like, if the player like, they're all withholding an action, right, waiting to see if there's a sign, and then if the player that's been dragged underwater manages to break free, suddenly they burst out, or you can even just like role play it as you see some bubbles, and so suddenly they know where it is, so they all swarm to that area and can see where the crocodile is because it's not super deep water, and then they can try and get their attacks in there. I think this is really good. I think it's a little hodgepodge, but I think it sets up a really cool boss battle for them that has some really dynamic environment. And I think I always feel like dynamic environment is what can really make a boss battle stand out, right? Especially in these earlier levels, right? When we're just utilizing, you know, a giant crocodile as our boss, like, that's not a memorable boss per se. I mean, I guess you could Peter Pan it and say it's like the ticking crocodile or something like that, and just for the flavor text, it'll be entertaining. I actually really like that idea. That'd be kind of a fun thing, just to like. I mean, actually, you know what? Now my brain's kind of going in my brain's already off to the races here. A Disney-themed D&D where it's like you recreate all of the Disney movies, and you have to fight all of, like, the famous Disney villains and stuff like that. That'd be kind of fun. And so one of them is like, you know, you have to fight both Captain Hook and the crocodile, you know, and like you could almost turn it into a like, whose side are you on, thing for the players to figure out. I don't know. I'm riffing here. I feel like the dean in Community, when he gets all offended about like people implying it's easy to come up with dance ideas. He's like, what, you think this is easy, what I do? Coming up with dance ideas? You think I could just say, like, let's make a jungle themed dance, and then I could just buy paper mache to make rainforests and rig the sprinkler systems to come down to have rain coming down. Ooh, I gotta write this down. And he just like immediately starts riffing a dance idea. That's what I feel like right now. I feel like Dean Pelton. And there's worse ways to be in life, I'll tell you what. Sorry for wanting a little bit of excitement in life. No, I think this is good. I think this is good. I think it, like I say, I think this is enough to take just a boring crocodile type enemy up to a new level of being like an actual interesting boss battle. And that's what we're creating here, right? That's going to be our final boss of this whole area. So I want it to be kind of notable and memorable. So the idea of them like having to survive this crocodile. Now, the one thing that makes that difficult is that does not fit in with the idea that I've had before. Now that I'm thinking about it, the idea that I've had before about there being some big creature that's like hunting them. Well, maybe it does. Crocodiles, they're amphibious. It could be dragging itself around. And maybe that's what makes it super scary, right? They can hear like the big plodding footsteps, like oh, oh, and like this the sliding of this big massive crocodile body. Because I'm assuming, what does it say about the size of this thing? Huge beast, yeah, like a huge beast. This thing. So like I'm imagining like, like the 25-foot super croc type of situation, right? And it's like just dragging this 25-foot long body, like this body that barely would fit in my entire apartment, dragging it along the ground. It's like, and you just hear that sliding along as they're inside, and it's like it's hard for them to see what it is because it's so low to the ground, right? So they're like expecting some big giant hulking creature, and it turns out it's just a crocodile that moves along. I guess we could still kind of do that. And it would also kind of excuse why the creature wouldn't just like bust in on them if it like spied through a window, because it's low to the ground, so it can't spy through a window. It's just like wandering through the city, and it happens to cross paths with them every now and then. I take it back. This is the perfect final boss. I take it back. That worked out perfectly. I like it quite a bit. This is absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay. All right, I dig it. Okay, I'm going to really quickly just take like a 2-minute break. It won't even be that long. I'm just going to run to the bathroom. I'm going to blow my freaking nose. I've been resisting doing that on stream because it's disgusting, and I don't want to subject anyone to that, but it's like the hose is filling up and it's going to burst. So I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to get myself a new beverage here, and we'll be right back. I'll leave you guys just right here with the music. It'll be very short, I promise. I appreciate me and my cold recovery appreciate your patience. So sit tight, I'll be right back. Ooh. All right. I can breathe again. Through the nose. I mean, I can always breathe, but like... feel that. Oh, that's a beautiful feeling. It'll last 5 minutes. Great. Colds are the best. Like, the worst thing about a cold is you always feel like, or at least I do, I always feel like such a wimp for being as knocked out by colds as I always get, right? Like, colds are, because they're just like, they drain you because they're just one of those, like, super ever-present types of things where it just, like, you can't forget about it, right? Because you're always dripping a little bit, there's always a little tingle in the throat, right? You're always just a little bit tired. You're always just trying to feel, with your sinuses all filled. Like, you can't forget that a cold is there. And so they're, like, just as mentally exhausting as they are for anything else. And, like, so I always feel like such a little baby for feeling as beat up by colds as I always do. But gosh, they're so oppressive when they show up. And it's just brutal. Just brutal. But at any rate. Great. So we got our boss. So let's figure out what our other enemies are going to be. So for our next difficult ones, our medium difficulty enemies. Actually, hold on a second. Let's just go ahead and, or if we get to do this, giant crocodile, worth 18 hundo XP. Great. Okay, so the next levels up, I always put fodder soldiers leaders. I always do that so that way when there's like a sentient, I can always like kind of understand like what level, like assuming that it's not a battlefield or assuming that it's like in a guardhouse, like what type of description to offer them. There's the boss, then there's like the leaders, then there's like actual trained soldiers, and then there's the cannon fodder that gets shoved in front, right? And so our leaders here always are meant to be like 2 or 3 of them would make up a medium battle. So each of them should be worth somewhere around, anywhere really between 600 and 900 experience points. We can go up to 1,000 or down to like 500, whatever the challenge rating suits us. We can kind of do that. And it's like I say, sometimes I'll even like mix and match and like pair it up so that way there's so that way you can kind of mix and match and you can have some extra ones, right? So it's like one leader is a couplet of like an archer with a trained wolf or something like that if you're trying to do some sort of like druidic or ranger core or something like that. So it's like you could kind of have that couplet be a leader per se. You can kind of do stuff like that to cheat a little bit. I avoid doing that if I can, just because it makes running battles as a DM even more complicated, and running battles as a DM need not be made more complicated. That is already complicated enough. We'll go up to challenge rating 4 here with these. I think 4 is probably going to be a little much, but we'll start there because 5 was what our boss was. So 4 is 1,100, and then 3 is what? That's what our 700 one? Yeah, 700, 714. Yeah, so 700 is like kind of, I guess that's actually kind of perfect when I think about it, 700, because it's right smack in between the 2 and 3, because 3 would be 2,100, which is a little much for a medium battle, but 2 is only 14, which is a little shy of a medium battle, which I guess is kind of exactly to the point. So let's go ahead and go with that. Let's see what we got here. I got myself. Oh man, I see. This is where it gets to be fun. I was responsible, and I paid attention to the god awful tax brackets. I'm not gonna get into that because it's a political discussion that really gets people fired up. Needless to say, there was a couple years ago, I got slammed in taxes because new tax reform went in, and the brackets that were sent out were all messed up. And I got hit pretty hard, and I owed a pretty large sum on my taxes from my day job because, the W-2 forms and everything like that, just it got wonky with the tables that were sent out to my employers. And so ever since then, I've always told them, I was like, you take extra out of my paycheck and put that towards there, because I never want to have to penny pinch more than I already do, because the powers that be decided I owed more than what I was already paying, right? That's basically what my mindset was. So I did that, and I was attentive to it, and I'm glad I did, because now I get a substantial sum back. And some people would say that means I still did it wrong, because it's like, oh, it's left, that should have been money that you could have been working for you rather than sitting in the government's pockets. Like, working for me how? I'm not rich enough to invest in stock markets and stuff like that. I mean, I've got some 401k and stuff that utilizes stock investment to a certain degree, but it's like the return on investment, I missed out on, like, depending on which paycheck we're talking about, between 1 and 11 months worth of like 0.04% return on it. It's like it's meaningless. And instead, I got a nice big windfall that gets added to what my budget was, because I base my budget on what I bring home, not what I think I'll get on my tax return. I got a sizable amount, and the moral of the story is I bought D&D stuff, and boy, oh boy, is it exciting. And this is where it comes to fruition, because now I got all of them. I got all the monsters here. I got all the monsters. I can use all their stat blocks to my heart's content legally. I don't have to worry about the D&D Beyond police coming in and smacking it down. I don't have to worry about Wizards of the Coast busting through my windows. Good stuff. I don't know. This is the stuff that gets me excited. Some people are sitting here wondering, it's like, why would you care? Why don't you just homebrew all of that stuff? It's like, because I don't have time to do it. Damn it, let me be excited. So here we are. Here we are. Giant snapping turtle. That sounds like a fun enemy. That's great. Look at that. It's one that I already own, too. So, like, I was super excited. The reason I thought about that is because I was looking at this one. The Call of the Netherdeep was one of the books that I bought. So it's like, if I wanted to use this one, I could do that. I'm not going to. I'm gonna use the giant snapping turtle, because I just want to go. I don't want anything fancy. I just want big giant animals for this one. This campaign, or this chapter. Like, that's all I'm going for. Just big giant animals. It's good stuff. Let me see here. Oh no, I'm getting encoding lag. I almost never get that. What's going on? Huh. That's a little weird. Why is that happening? I don't know that I've ever had that before. Huh. Alright, well. Let's see if it straightens itself out. Okay, now it seems to have straightened itself out. Alright, that was weird. That was really weird. Hopefully it didn't disrupt the stream too much there. Yeah, I just suddenly looked over and noticed that. What a strange thing. Huh. Yeah, I've never had issues with that before. Oh well. Chalk that up to things that I don't understand. Giant snapping turtle. Let's take a screenshot. Let's just keep pressing forward, because I wouldn't even know what to do to fix that right here at this exact minute. So why worry about it, right? Why worry? Giant snapping turtles. They'll be our leaders. Our leaders. They're the leaders that carry out the bidding of the giant crocodile. Yeah, the leader, the leader, soldier, fodder, boss dynamic really only works for sentient creatures, doesn't it? Oh well. Okay, so these guys, I love the giant, the super high natural armor class. Even better, I love the 12 while prone. I don't know, it amuses me that they thought of it. Okay. Amphibious can breathe air and water. That's not really how it works, but okay. That's not really how snapping turtles work, but we'll let it go. We'll let it go. Hey, it's magical. It's a magical giant tortoise, right? Or giant snapping turtle. Stable. Whenever an effect knocks the turtle prone, make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw to avoid being knocked prone. Prone turtle is upside down. To stand up, it must succeed on a DC 10 dexterity check on its turn, and then use all its movement for that turn. I do like that. And then bite. Giant snapping turtle. Let's see here. Anything in particular special with these? Hey, how's it going? Ivelon? I don't know. I feel like I always just like try too hard to pronounce things. Welcome. Glad you're here. Glad to see you here. I just feel like giant snapping turtles in battle would really just be, like they would just sit there and, I don't know, be like giant biting boulders. Like, I feel like they wouldn't go through too much effort attacking anything. I think they would just like chill and just like if you gave them the opportunity, they would just eat your fingers. I mean, I guess if it's a giant one, maybe your forearm. I don't know. It's a large beast. Yeah, I don't know. Not super mobile in combat. More likely, yeah, I think it's just more likely to sit around and bite if you get too close. Like giant bitey boulders. That's what they are. Hey Gabby, how's it going? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's all they would do. I feel like it'd be great. And like what we can do with them is instead of having them be like super active combatants, instead I like the idea of them just like being strategically placed in super inconvenient places for the players. Like there's two of them sitting right in front of the doorway to the place that they're trying to go. And it's just like they have to figure out how to deal with that. They can either lure them away or kill them if they want to. But I like that idea where they just like inadvertent guardians where all they do is they just kind of sit still. Like giant bitey boulders. I was gonna say like giant biting because it looks like it's like bitty. Like I don't know, it doesn't work in text, but bitey works better. I don't know, bite. But bitey. I mean that looks like it, but then it's not an actual word. Whatever. Why do I care? Like giant bitey boulders. Perfect. Best use is to strategically place in front of where players need to go. Perfect. I like it. I like that a lot. I don't know why that's amusing me so much. It's probably because I'm hocked up on Vicks Vapo cold medicine right now. I'm high on menthol, man. I can't think straight. All right. Someone else use that stuff? Like that was the only cold medicine they had at the store. When I went there to resupply earlier this week, I went there and I was just gonna get some like Dayquil, but all I had was the Dayquil with like the Vapo stuff, and it's like so it's just like it's supposed to add that like refreshing thing, right? It's like it's too much. It is too much. Okay. Like, yeah, I do have a cold. I'm on the downswing of it. Like, fever's broken, everything like that. I'm now at the point where like I feel fine. My nose is just like we're gonna run like a faucet for a week now. So just have fun with that. But yeah, I've been dealing with a cold since like Sunday. It's been super not good. I got tested. It's not COVID, thank goodness, because that would have been really frustrating to have to cancel like literally everything that I do. You know, now it's just like stay home. And if I have to go out, wear a mask, and it's fine, rather than like full-blown isolating. You know, I still put on a mask just so I don't get my cold to everyone. But yeah, like, has anyone used that stuff? The Dayquil with the Vapo? What do they call it? It's like, it's not the Vapo rub, but it's the same idea. And it's just like, it's like taking a big swig of pure menthol. And I'm not a fan. It's like, it punches you. Like, it's like a cold fist punches you in the throat and the sinuses. And it like lasts for a minute, and then you're back to square one. It's like, what was the point of that other than just like making my eyes water and making me uncomfortable? It's like you drink it, it's like, oh God. And it's like, you know, it's like if you want that, just take a shot of vodka or something. My God, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. I don't know if anyone's even used that stuff, but that was all they had at the store because it's cold season, right? It's like it's that season. Because the weather's going all haywire around here, which puts people in, you know, which puts people's internal like clocks and metabolisms all wonky and haywire. And it just like, you know, everyone gets a cold. So everyone goes out and gets cold medicine because they realize they only have like 2 doses of it left in their closet from fall. And so So everyone goes out and buys it. And unfortunately, I didn't get my cold. I didn't come down with it, 3 days earlier. So I didn't get out in time to beat the crowds getting all that stuff. So all they had was the Vapo punch stuff, whatever they're calling it. And it just, it feels like getting slapped in the nose every time you take a swig of it. And it's not, I'm not a fan. Like, don't get me wrong. I love a good, like, refreshing, citric acid / menthol combination. Like, I like refreshing, but it's too much. It's too much how much they put in there. It's a lot. It's like trying to chug Listerine. Just not on board. Anyway. We got our giant snapping turtles. Let's find another enemy. Okay, so we need about, like, whatever difficulty, 5 of them would be about the 1800. Fayish kobolds. Interesting. That's, I mean, I don't know. I can see that. That's like, it would just be like, they found their way over into the Feywild and just adapted, right? I don't know. I like the idea, actually. That sounds kind of fun. Like, I feel like that could be an origin story for the flying kobolds. They're half fairy, half kobold. I don't know. Don't ask how that works. Okay, hold on. These guys are gonna be our giant snapping Boidles. I like turtles. You guys are worth 700 XP. How do you suppose that kid's doing? I hope he's doing good. I hope he's doing good. That little zombie kid. He's like a little. He's got to be a zombie adult now. That's true. I suppose fairies aren't necessarily like the Tinkerbell-sized fairies that a lot of us think of. I always think about Tinkerbell, and then I always think about kobolds as being, just like the size of like a 12-year-old or something. I don't know. That's what I always think of. But I suppose right, if they're just like small sized, then you can have a bit more. But yeah, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. That's a different stream. Thinking about the mechanics of how that one works. I don't want to go down that road. Dude, that's a different stream. That's for when I start my OnlyFans. We'll have those discussions. Okay, so we need to think about, so 5 or so would be worth the 1800, right? So it's like they should all be worth, like, I don't know, where's our 450? That's probably about what we're looking for here. Is that challenge rating 2? Am I remembering it? Yeah, I'm remembering that right. Red cat murder kobolds. I like that. I like that. That just rolls off the tongue really well. Murder kobolds. Let's see here. What's something that's kind of like swamp-like, amphibious around in this area? Plesiosaur. Perfect. Oh, ooh, a giant crayfish would be fun. I like the idea of a giant crayfish. Let's just do our okay, yeah, no, yeah, giant crayfish. Let's go for it. If I ever seen bunny slug, it's not ringing a bell. Giant crayfish, perfect, great. Take a screenshot, please. Boom, copy. It sounds cute. Definitely. Is that a real thing, or is that like a D&D thing that I'm not aware of? Okay. So giant crayfish, what do they do in battle? They bite things. It's a real live animal. I'll have to look it up sometime. I'll have to try and remember to look that up. Let's see here. Can make 2 claw attacks. Okay. Giant crayfish. Pretty simple. Goes towards closest enemy and then multi-attacks with its claws. Pretty simple. Not a whole lot of complexity going on there. Just gonna go up. It's gonna try and claw you. I do like the idea of may try to drag grappled opponents underwater. And then we can actually just go ahead and that's actually kind of a good idea. We can kind of use our little we can use our little homebrew system that we just kind of came up with for how to handle that for the crocodile. We can use that here, and this is like, yeah, it's like It's like a light version of that because the DC is 12 instead of 16. And that's actually kind of interesting. That adds some complexity to the idea because it gives players the chance to kind of learn about that mechanic before they face it for the bigger, badder version of it. So it's kind of like we can give the, like, use these guys to teach our players kind of how to handle what they can expect to see later, which I'm always a big fan of. I always think that's a really fun approach to things, when you can kind of like subtly teach your players what they need to know to then handle like the true test, right? It's like school, only fun, because we give them the lessons in easier situations, and then when the test comes, they're ready for the test. There's nice Pokemon and D&D monster fusions and stuff like that. That just makes me think of one of these days I'm gonna convince a group of people to do it, and more importantly, I'm gonna convince someone to DM it. Someone took the time to make a Pokemon rule set edit for D&D 5e, and one of these days I'm gonna convince someone to do it so that way I can be the damn Pokemon master. One of these days, I'm gonna do it. Lotad with a dragon turtle, nice. Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine that'd be a pretty cute combo. Alright, so we got giant crayfish. Now we just gotta come up with our easy ones, which is like an easy one. Like 10 of them would be a medium battle, so the 200. Does that just bring us like nice and easy? I think that just brings us nice and easy down to our challenge rating 1. Although I need to really quickly. Giant crayfish. For 50 XP. Yeah, that's true. There is actually like an actual Pokemon tabletop RPG, isn't there? Either one, honestly, as long as I get the opportunity to be a Pokemon master, I'm fine with whatever format it takes. I just need someone in my life to do it. One of these days, it'll happen. I'm still working on the first phase right now, which is getting enough friends obsessed with it and getting them obsessed with world building, so that way eventually one of them does create a Pokemon world that I can then master. That's one of these days. It's gonna happen. That's my lifetime goal. My lifetime achievement goal. Okay. So challenge rating 1s. Find some sort of big water creature. These guys are gonna be 200 XP. That's perfect. Spider, swan, toad. Ooh, giant toads would be fun. We could do the two-headed crocodile. I can't decide whether a giant crocodile or a two-headed crocodile would be worse. I feel like both of those would be horrifying in their own way. I'm gonna go with the giant toad. I like how unassuming that is. They can kind of be like an easier version of the giant snapping turtles, where they just kind of sit there and they're just in the way, and people have to figure out what to do about it. I immediately like that idea, so we're gonna go with it. Copy and paste. Giant toad. But the trick is, it's not a giant toad as in like Ribbit. It's a giant toad as in Toad from Mario Party. It's a giant one of them. He's just sitting there, and his voice is like, oh, right, because he's like giant, so it'd be like really low pitch. I'm not gonna do the high pitch version of it. That would destroy my cold throat right now. Oh, I mean, it destroys my throat as it is. My throat's already destroyed, so no. Oh boy. Let's see here. It's the Hypnotoad, yeah. Yeah, I've got access to all of it. I may have a little bit of a problem with like being obsessed with D&D and world building, so I may spend lots of my extra income on just like having access to all this stuff. No comment. Yeah, no, I do have access. I like to be able to have access to everything, so that way whatever I'm writing, I have the right tools at hand to do it. This is an awkward hand gesture. I should probably stop doing it. I'm gonna not do it anymore. My apologies. Giant toad. I'm gonna say similar to giant snapping turtles. Aren't super aggressive. More so more isn't more so like an actual term? I don't know. More so. I thought it was. Maybe I'm just spelling it wrong. Nope, I guess not. I thought it was a single word. It's probably just my cold medicine brain sucking. Ah, nice. Nice making a V2 model of it. Nice. I like it. It's the perfect plan. No one will ever be able to change the channel away. It's downright devious, frankly. All right. Similar to giant salamanders, are super aggressive, more so just in the way of where players need to go. I also like the idea of up to 10 feet, 20 feet, and his high jump is up to 10 feet with or without a running start. I like the idea of if forced into battle, will start jumping around the battlefield at random and trying to swallow enemies at random. So they'll just start bouncing around like a feeding frenzy is kind of my idea. Yeah, no, you've got the right of it. Salt marsh would be a really good setting. It's more so like the way I've got it set up. How I'm going about it is, like this part of the city is kind of a flooded part of a city. So there's been some like swampy type creatures that have moved in, and I've actually got it sorted by beast, and I'm finding them based on the challenge rating, like beasts that fit the theme that also fit the challenge ratings that I need for the level of difficulty I'm doing. So there definitely would be a lot of creatures. One of the problems is, one of the limitations though is, for the atmosphere, the setting that I'm trying to set right now for this thing is it's really, I'm trying to make it more, just like standard animals, but like big scary versions of them for this particular part of it. Like, cause we're working on a big giant campaign that we've been doing, right? And the past few chapters of this campaign have really been filled with a lot of like Underdark nightmarish types of things, and then the next chapter is going to be like a real survivor horror type of thing. So I'm trying to do something that's a bit more lighthearted, where it's just like, you know, big giant animals, like big giant magically enhanced versions of animals, you know, like that are walking around. That players have to deal with is kind of the idea here, because Saltmarsh has a lot of really cool aquatic creatures, but they tend to be more along the like monstrosity / humanoid, you know, realm, where it's like you get the merfolk and stuff like that, and I'm looking for more along the lines of just like big critters that, like, I don't know, just like fighting a menagerie of creatures that are kind of roaming around this part of the city is kind of what I was going for this one. I think we came out just fine. I think fate provided for us what we needed. I like this. I really kind of like this idea. Just start jumping around the battlefield at random, trying to swallow enemies at random. So they just like hop around, and wherever they land next to, they'll try and eat them. I like that idea. They don't think very much. I mean, look at that intelligence. Look at that intelligence. There's not a lot of planning and forethought going on there. There's just you know, they just kind of like sit there, and as soon as like, my thought is, as soon as like a player walks up and tries to hit one or tries to move one, just the battlefield explodes into action of just all of them jumping around and going all over the place. So in other parts, in a whole lot of other parts of it, we've got a whole lot of, because this isn't the only part of the city. We got all kinds of stuff going on that we already planned out, and you can check out the kind of the process that we went through it. If you wanted to watch the VODs, you could see picking the animals, and then actually moving forward, we'll have a whole lot more. Yeah, no, you've got a lot of really good ideas, and I've actually kind of utilized some of them already. But yeah, for this one particular section, we're just coming up with the big things. The other thing too is, for this last section, like, this is the most challenging section of it, so we need some real big hitters to really give our players a final run for the gold here. So I don't know. I'm pretty satisfied with it. I'm pretty satisfied with what we got there. I think it's gonna be good. So now what I want to do, the one thing that we got like a half hour left on. Yeah, we got a half hour. We got all kinds of time, baby. Heck yeah. I want to start making a map. Start making a map here. So I'm gonna pull up Dungeon Draft here, and I'm also gonna pull up Wonder Draft because we've already made like a Wonder Draft version of the map just to kind of give ourselves an idea of what the city looks like. And so I'm gonna try and open. Let's see. Let me organize all my tabs because it bothers me when they're not organized how I like. We need not that one. Where's all right, I guess I got to do it this way, huh? We need this map. Open up you. Open up you. There we go. So here's our larger, more aesthetic, more ancient scroll looking version of the map. But now we got to start. We do need to make our actual dungeon versions of the map. And so what I want to do is I kind of want each. So we've got 6 sections to this chapter, right? And it's like each section of the chapter is kind of meant to be a different part of the city. Because what the basic storyline that's going on here is our players need to find the wizard who's all isolated up in this tower because they're trying to get access to a teleportation portal that was known to be up there thousands of years ago. Go up there, find the wizard still alive there, some way, shape, or form. As they go about this chapter, they're going to find different bits of information about how he managed that feat. So that's going to be part of it, as well as he's going to be willing to help them. He has to remake the teleportation portal. He's willing to do that, but he needs components from around the city, and so he's going to put it up to the players to try and get all of that stuff. And so, like, my idea is he just kind of sends them on a wild goose chase that goes all around different parts of the city. And so, and I still haven't really decided. I kind of want to maybe set it up so that we really only have, like, 3 battle maps. And it's like players will just return to different battle maps on different days, and different animals will have moved into a lot of them, right? And we can do something kind of like that. So that way it's like, it feels more like a living city of some sort. So if we almost break it into just like 3 partitions, right? And we can just put like some landmarks, and the scaling gets a little off when you do stuff like that, because this is obviously a pretty sizable city ruins here. And the size of a battle map is not going to be able to be this big. But I mean, it's a game. We can suspend disbelief to a certain degree. So I like that idea. I like the idea of just doing 3 sections that maybe have a few extra rooms, and some of the rooms are like blocked off. And so depending on which day and what part of the story that they're approaching, right, what part of this chapter they're approaching, what thing they're finding, the world changes a little bit around them, is the idea that I kind of have here. And I think that'd be fun. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So let's start coming up with that. Let's create a new. I'm gonna have this be. Well, how do I want to break this up? Do I want to make it by like width tiles? Maybe it's just that we can make up. We don't even have to have the whole city necessarily. We could just have like different important places, right? So it's like maybe there was like the marketplace over here, right? There's like a temple over here. I guess we kind of made it so there's the temple right there. Marketplace we could kind of put up here, and we could have like the royal palace that'll have like, fancy rich people items scattered around. And we could do that. Kind of like that. And then maybe like a 4th one is that like swamped part of the city that they would otherwise be avoiding. Kind of like that idea. So let's do that. All right. So yeah, we'll keep with our 36 by 24, which I always do. So for me, and this is just like me personally doing what works for me, doing 36 by 24. In one sense, it's because I find that this is a good size in terms of allowing me to do a lot of stuff, but also like it's plenty of room to do a lot of stuff for sort of like a larger area dungeon, right? while still kind of penning me in so I don't get too wild and crazy, which is really helpful for using these maps on the online game that I run. But the other thing that's nice about this size is I have a poster board that I use that is 2 by 3 feet or 36 by 24 inches. So any map that I make on here can be very easily translated to the battle map poster board that I use for when I run games in person instead of online. So there's a very strategic reason that I do it. But I do also maintain that this is actually a really good size for doing dungeons, because it does help rein me in, because I do have the tendency to make things pretty big, much bigger than they need to be, or than as wise for them to be. So doing it this way really kind of helps pen me in here. So let's go ahead and just like, I don't know that I have like a strong vision in mind here. I have an idea. Okay, here, I have an idea. We could set this up. We could do 4 sections. We could do like the marketplace. We could do the temple, because those are going to be common places where players will be able to find items that they need, right? That like a wizard would need to create a teleportation circle for them, right? Like those would be 2 good places to find components. You know, like if they need some sort of magically infused thing, then they can go to like the temple area. If they need some sort of just like herbal component or something like that, the marketplace might have remnants of whatever they need. You can kind of do stuff like that. And then the last 2, we can kind of do two separate ones. One of them is like, we can do is like the castle, right? They need something from inside the castle, and maybe the swamped part of it, of that area, like the swamped part of this chapter is like the castle grounds, and it's like they need to get something from the castle grounds. Maybe like the castle has its own separate like burial grounds or something like that, and so they need to find a very special, unique item that was buried with one of the royal family or something, and then they kind of have to make it through the castle grounds or something like that. And so that way we could kind of turn that into 2. I think that'd be kind of interesting. I think that'll work, because then like the castle grounds, because you could like turn it into like a maze of some sort, right? Because maybe the castle had like just like a maze hedge garden or something like that, and so it's just kind of turned into this like this waterlogged maze that's also like this swampy area. And so it's like, that's like how you could use, like normally it would be much easier to navigate because it wouldn't really be a maze, it'd be like a maze, right? You could do that, but then you place like the snapping turtles and the toads, the things that aren't going to outright attack but are just like there making it dangerous to take the easy direct route. And they kind of like, all right, players, you can choose. Do you fight your way through there, or do you take the easy way around and navigate around and take some easier battles and stuff? You could do it kind of like that. I like that idea. I think that could be fun. Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. But first, let's start off with just doing like our marketplace district or something like that. I feel like marketplaces are always pretty easy districts to do. You just kind of put in a lot of small square buildings, and just like with a couple roads kind of passing around, maybe a few alleys, and that's like all you need. And each building maybe has a different challenge located in it. You know, this, that, or the other creatures around there. You know, maybe it's like one of the days all of the creatures are inside the houses looking for shelter, and then the other day it's like nicer weather, so they're wandering the streets and all of the creatures are in the streets. And that's kind of how we can double up using the same map, right, and make it feel different. You do something like that. Let's just go to our building tool here. We don't really need this to be particularly complex. Let's do wood floors and wood walls here. And we can just kind of build some buildings here, and we can just kind of make some, oh, it's gonna be wonky about it. Let's try doing, probably still gonna be kind of wonky about it. But yeah, you just make small shops, and that's how we can kind of fit a lot of rooms into this. Yeah, it's gonna keep doing that. So that's annoying. Okay, then fine, we'll just do it. Fine, I'll do it. We'll do it live. All right, there we go. Do that. Building tool. Kind of make a few storefronts, make them a little uneven and everything like that, just to kind of give it a more small town hodgepodge type of feel to it. I just find that's a bit more atmospherically pleasing to players when you kind of set it up that way. Players tend to appreciate that, I find. It makes it look better rather than if you just like have like, you know, one big square and then you partition it. That makes it look a little too like one single building, and I want to avoid that if I can. Right, we can like make this one a little bit wider and narrower. That, our wall tool going like there. There we go. Could actually even, and you know, and then just to like really toy with the patterns, right? You have them be the same. Maybe that one was a building that was partitioned. Oh, how about that now? Something like that. And then maybe one more that's just like a building that's a little separated, right? And there's an alley there. We can do something like that, right? So there's that. And then maybe we do, you know, another set of buildings down here. Oops. Go. Oh, maybe we'll put this one like this. And you can just kind of, and like what's fun about it too is you can just have each one of them be a different shop. So like each one has a very specific type of like item or treasure that might be found inside of it. So it can kind of be like a fun looting experience for players too as they're going through this emptied out abandoned city. Right? Maybe this one's a particularly big shop here. That. Then grab our wall separation there. And then maybe there's like, oh, here we go. This could be kind of an interesting aesthetic. Right, and so you put like, oops, X-based, and wanted to put it right there. Have like one little narrow shop right here. Wall going right there. Go. And then like another big one. So there's like that small shop that's sandwiched between two big shops. It's always kind of a fun look. Grab our wall. That. And then put one more. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I've been forgetting to put alleyways. I was thinking to put like alleyways in some of these. Here. Here's what we can do. What's the alt is to erase? Okay, maybe. There we go. We can just put an alleyway in right there. So if we put an alleyway right there, just to add something a little interesting there. And then we can even do one more, because sometimes things are like accidentally symmetrical to a degree. And so there's like a little alley that goes in between these two shops. Right, so we can kind of have like, okay, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 3 more makes 15 rooms plus alleys. I think gives us plenty of stuff to work on, and having different ones be open to different amounts. And so just to kind of make it fun, maybe there's a couple, you know, island type stalls that are just kind of scattered where there's space around here in the middle of the street or something like that, just to make it kind of weird and atmospheric. You know, maybe we'll edit these later so that they're just like, you know, these are the Sunglass Hut stalls that you see. They're like actual stalls rather than storefronts, right? And it's like, this is like the Sunglass Hut, and this one that's like strangely selling insurance out of a hut in the mall or whatever. Does anyone else remember that kind of stuff? Is that an experience that only my local mall had as a kid when I was growing up, where it's like there would be some sensible ones, like that one that sold like phone cases, the one that sold sunglasses, you know, Sunglass Hut, and then there was like one that was like randomly like get new windows for your home, and they just had like a stall in the mall as if like that's what people did, like literal window shopping or something like that. Like, did anyone else's mall ever have that? I don't know. That was my mall experience. And then there would be like that one random dune buggy sitting in the hallway that it's like, enter for your chance to win this dune buggy, and all you were doing was putting yourself on a mailing list when you tried to put your name like in the little slip to try and get in the drawing, because like if your name got drawn, then it would be put into a national drawing, and then if your name got drawn out of that one, then it was like you had the opportunity to spin the wheel to win it or something like that. It was like this like really sneaky thing that was really predatory towards like kids that really thought it would be cool. I don't know. That's definitely, I feel like that's really a dying part of American culture, is just what it was like to walk through the mall on like a Friday night with your friends. Like, I feel like that's just not really going to be the same thing anymore as it once was. Like, I think malls still have potential to be alive because I think there will always be a certain market for storefronts depending on the product and the town and the environment that it presents. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like most people probably don't have the same, get like, you're in high school and, you're just old enough that one friend has his driver's license. So you all pile in the car that his parents are letting him use for the night. And you go to the mall and you wander the mall for like a half an hour, not doing anything, just like walking around in the mall until you get to the movie theater, and then you go watch a movie, and then you walk around the mall for a little while longer. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like that's such a specific memory that, like, I might have been one of the last groups of people, like one of the last, when I was a kid. It just, like, I feel like that's just not as much of a thing. Like, and even then, for my age group, that was, like, not an every Friday night thing. That was just a, hey, we need to do something different. Let's do this type of thing. Like, I feel like going back into the 80s, that was, like, that's when it really started. Like, that's when it was really a thing to go hang out at the mall. Like, go hang out at the food court and stuff like that. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just riffing. This isn't related to anything I'm doing right now on stream. I just thought of that. Like, I don't know. I miss those days. I miss the days of being a kid, generally speaking. I miss the days of not having responsibilities. That was pretty rad. It was pretty rad not having responsibilities. Those were good times. Those are good times, and they're kind of long gone. they're kind of not around anymore. But, growing up happens. And in general, I would not go back to being a kid just because of, like, how insecure and depressed I was as a kid. I wouldn't do that again. It's like the age-old question, would you do it all over again? It's like, I mean, if I could have the mindset of an adult and do it again, sure, right? Like, have the wisdom and understanding of the world that I have right now at 30 years old, but then have the freedoms of, like, in terms of, like, freedom of schedule of, like, an 18-year-old, like, yeah, sure, that'd be rad. That'd be awesome. But, like, do I want to go back and actually be 18 again? No, God, no. Things have gotten way better for me overall. Like, especially because I was a late bloomer when it comes to, like, coming into my own and being a functional person. Oof, it took me a while to figure that one out. Like, mid-20s at the earliest, and even then, there were rough patches. And in 10 years, at 40, I'm going to look back and be like, man, 30, I didn't know anything about life. I'm so glad I'm 40 now. Or so everyone who's older than me says. Everyone who's older than me always says it gets better. Every decade gets better than the last one. So, I don't know. I don't know what I'm rambling about anymore. I'm just riffing about random stuff right now. I don't know. Okay, yeah, this is great. So here's like a rough template that we can use for this one. I like that, honestly. I think that's fun. I think that's interesting. I think we can do a lot of stuff with this. I do genuinely really like the idea of having this handle like 2 or even 3 portions of this chapter, rather than like having a new set of like 10 rooms or so for every section, for every different like sub part of this chapter, every different challenge having its own dungeon. I like the idea of players returning to these areas, multiple times. So I'm just gonna like slap a few doors down into these storefronts here, just to kind of get that all organized here. Now you got to really figure out like, how do I want to present these ones? Maybe these ones have like the storefronts there, got the storefront there. I don't know. It's weird, but hey, sometimes it's just how things form. They just hodgepodge them. You put stuff where there's space for it. I don't know. Well, mom and pop shops, they can't be too choosy. Wherever there's space for them to go, that's where they'll put it. We'll do that. Maybe give them all a few windows or something like that. I don't want doors. I want windows. Here we go. Look at the windows. Look at that. Look at the little storefront windows. They're so nice. That's so nice. Like storefronts. Yeah, this one's got like a little window right next to it. So, I didn't. I like them to be on the squares rather than in between them. They have like a double pane. I think they really have a double pane today. They really don't. That's okay. Just put 2 right there and pretend it's like a shop front. Okay, I'll put it on the half just because that makes it nice and symmetrical. Maybe that one was like actually designed with some like sense of architecture in mind. Little window right there. I feel like all these shops would just have like a front window for a display. and then like they wouldn't have anything else because they wouldn't want to make it easy for burglars to get in. I don't know. I'm not here claiming to be an expert. Maybe this one's a little different. Maybe this one's got like windows too. Not claiming to be an expert on fantasy medieval architectural principles. Oops, nope. I had to put that one right next to it. They've got like a display case window or something. I'm just some hack who likes to pretend things in his free time. That's the dirty little secret that I feel like everyone eventually figures out when they watch my streams. They're like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, he's just making it up as he goes. You know, he tried. Maybe this one's got like a nice glass front, like storefront, and they've got like a separate opening or something like that. I don't know. And then we can just like, as we're designing the rest of the challenges and the rooms and stuff that the players will go through, we can start adding more details to all these places. I like that. I think that'll be a fun. I think this will be perfectly fun. And I think it'll be interesting because this will present a lot of like tight, close quarters combat areas, which I think are a bit more fun as long as they're designed and utilized well by players, right? So it's like if players are smart about like, oh, they open the door and there's like a bunch of, you know, monsters in here. Okay, well, let's go outside and like utilize windows and stuff like that to attack and utilize the alleys to get better angles and stuff like that. This type of thing can be really fun. It's kind of up to the players. Or if they just kind of like bottleneck themselves and all charge in and then suddenly they're trapped in there, then it's like, well, that was your fault now, wasn't it? So I think this will be really fun. I think we can use this really effectively. I think that'll be good. Yeah, I dig it. What kind of time we got left? 5 minutes. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and move us towards my little break that I always give myself, and just like a 10-15 minute break here. Rest my voice, especially kind of getting through this cold here. Could definitely use a few minutes to just rest my voice. So I'm gonna bring us to just chatting here. Just chatting here. So for those of you who want to stick around, you can stick around. When I come back, I'm going to switch over and we're going to do some gaming for a little bit because we've got some good writing in, and after a while, my brain turns to mush. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to play some Star Wars: Old Republic. But having fun with that. It's been a little while since I pulled that one out, but I'm gonna play that for a little bit. So if you want to stick around for that, you can stick around for that. If not, I'll direct you towards my About Me page on Twitch, or if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, you can find all of this, all of the links and where you can find me on social media and all that stuff in the video description below. Just the short of it, you can find me on, where all can you find me? I've got a Discord server. You can join that if you like staying connected. I like to interact with people when people share stuff. They've got cool ideas. It's a good place to put it. I love seeing what other people come up with. It's fun to stay connected with people. I put announcements about the channel and stuff there. So Discord is a really good place if you like being connected. Go check it out. Everyone's welcome. Twitter, I've got a Twitter, Enviro Streams. You can follow me there. Mostly I use it to announce when I'm going live or if there's changes to my stream schedule. But occasionally I also put stupid thoughts that pop into my stupid head there. So if you think that's amusing and you have fun with that, then you can follow me on Twitter. I also have an Instagram, EnviroBoy Streams. I really like Instagram. I've been using that one a lot to put like videos of me doing my kickboxing and my rock climbing and all that kind of stuff there. So if you're interested in the stuff that I get up to outside of stream, Instagram's a really fun place to follow me and see what else, what other interesting things I get up to in my life. And then, like I mentioned, I've got a YouTube channel, unless you're already watching, in which case, well, I still have a YouTube channel. It's just you already know about it. I put all my VODs on YouTube. So if you ever want to watch my streams, but you can't watch it live, just check the YouTube. I put them up there same day. I don't play any sort of exclusivity or delayed release or anything like that. All the VODs go up right there. So you can check out anything I've written in the past, check out games that I've played in the past, all that kind of stuff. YouTube's a great place for that. The last link that you'll find there is the donation page that I have. If you feel so inclined, donations are certainly welcomed and eternally appreciated. They help me with do things like recently they helped me get a new mic and stuff like that, and donations can help me make sure I've got all the different D&D content, so that way we can, like we were talking about, have like all the best ideas when we're creating these campaigns and stuff like that. So it's like these campaigns that I'm intending to release once it's done being written, I intend to release it. It might take some extra work to put it in a proper format, but I want to release it so people can have access to it too. Like, I don't want to just make it and be like, okay, that was fun, go away now. Like, I want to give it out, so it's like, Just stuff like that. Donations can help with that. But truthfully, if you're really like wanting to help out my stream, just come hang out, like, subscribe, follow, come watch me stream, share ideas that you have, chat with me, do all that kind of stuff. Just, be involved in the stream. Like, that's honestly the best thing that you can do to help, because I just do this for fun. Like, I have a lot of fun doing this. I want to keep doing it for fun. And so knowing that people are also enjoying it and coming and hanging out and getting some out of it, like, that's the best way that you can make me feel awesome and appreciated. So, just doing that, just being here and watching. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's all I'm really asking. I only did the donation because people wanted me to. I didn't even plan on doing that, but it's there, and that's why it's there. But at any rate, I appreciate each and every one of you. I had fun finally getting back to it after being sick. I still feel a little ugh, but hey, it's nice to kind of get back into a routine after a little while. So this was a nice chill way to kind of get back into it. Nice chill way to sort of recenter myself when work has been a real pain in the keister lately. So I'm glad I'm back. I'm glad people are coming and hanging out and having a good time with it. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Like I say, I'm going to take a bit of a break. If you're not hanging out, I do also, so I am planning on streaming tomorrow, Friday. My usual stream schedule when I'm not sick is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. 11:30 a.m. Eastern time is when I start writing streams, and then 1:30 p.m. is when I switch over to my gaming streams. So you can hang out for any and all of that. Come check me out anytime during the week. Like I say, tomorrow I'm planning on being there, and as far as I know at the moment, I think next week I should be doing a full stream schedule. But as always, like I just said, there's places you can go to find announcements about all that. So that's all I got. If you're going to hang out, I'll leave you here with some music for a little bit. There'll be a bit of a hiccup in the stream as I switch over for the sake of the VODs. But I'll leave you with some chill music here for a few minutes while I take my break and rest my voice, and we'll be back with Star Wars Old Republic. It's going to be fun getting back into that one. So if you're hanging out, I'll see you soon. If not, it's totally cool too. I appreciate you stopping by at all. Glad you were here. Glad you had a good time. And yeah, no, I appreciate each and every one of you. So, yeah, I will be back shortly. I'll catch you cats on the flip side. See you soon, babies.